More than half of all Milwaukee Public Schools 3rd through 8th graders rated below basic in reading in the most current state test. It is a chronic problem for MPS and other urban school districts that affects student performance and learning year after year. One community-based group is trying to help. Forward Scholars is a volunteer tutoring program working to get the district's youngest readers back on track. Joining us is Dr. Carrie Streiff-Stuessy, a longtime educator and executive director of Forward Scholars. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here today.
You were an elementary school teacher. What did you see impacting children who were struggling to read?
So, I taught kindergarten through 3rd grade, kindergarten for 2nd and 3rd, and it's a complex issue, of course, but one of the key pieces for working with those younger kids and making sure they're reading is making sure that they have explicit access to phonemic awareness and to phonics instruction.
How does Forward Scholars help young children improve their reading? Does it rely on that particular approach, a phonics-based approach?
So we do use explicit systematic phonics instruction as part of our daily routine, instructional routine with kids. But our key components, we're built on a framework that's called Book Buddies. And it's the only research framework that has been proven to work in urban areas. And so we use that as the framework for our program. And then each one of the instructional lessons is written by a site coordinator, which is an educator. So they're all certified educators with early literacy expertise and experience. And they write individualized lesson plans for each child. And those contain 4 components. And one of those key components is explicit phonics instruction for those kids.
Are you using some methods that are used currently in MPS, or are these methods that are really designed to complement what MPS is doing as well?
I would say yes, and yes. I imagine I'm not as familiar with exactly the systems that MPS has in place right now for each one of their teachers. I know that they're working hard to get teachers trained in something called Letters, which is wonderful because Letters does provide key information for how to teach kids those early concepts to really make sure that they're getting them in those early grades. So that's wonderful. But we really rely on a framework, kind of a tried and true framework that starts with rereading something the kids know so that they're familiar and have built some confidence. We work into that phonics and word work, explicit instruction. Then they do some practice with writing to make sure that they're using that more challenging cognitive complex to help to a cognitive process, to help them to really make sure that it's moving into their long-term memory. And then they do practice in a new text where they practice those same phonics skills that they learned and practice those new sight words and skills that they learned in the lesson. So it's a pretty standard, but also one that it takes somebody writing that individualized plan for them to make sure that it fits just where that kiddo is at that period in time.
And it really seems like it helps to build on success that students are making. I think sometimes when young people struggle with reading, it's just one barrier after another for them. But this really helps them find success, it seems, and then build on it.
That's exactly it. And another key component to our program is that the people that are providing the instruction are actually community volunteers. And so we train these community volunteers beforehand. We provide continued professional development for them. And we have that site coordinator, that's that certified teacher on site to help support them at all times during the lessons. And so one of those key pieces is that we have a person that comes in just for that kid that's delivering that instruction and helping those kiddos to feel successful and good about the work that they're doing.
What kind of results are you seeing?
So we were very excited at the end of last year. Last year was our first full year as a program. And we knew that what we were doing works. But when we got the quantitative results at the end, it was even more exciting than we planned. So we saw that on average, one of the child that was in our program grew 1.5 years in reading. And we know where our hope sort of from year to year is that kids grow about 1 year, right? Because then they're keeping up with where they need to be. But we know for a lot of our kiddos that they haven't been getting that year's growth. So what's important for us as a program is that we're not just helping them to move that year of reading, but we want to be bridging that opportunity gap and that achievement gap for kids.
If people are interested in volunteering, what do they do?
So they can contact me via email, and when they tutor, it's really we've been told that the process is really easy, and the tutors will complete an online tutoring training, and then they come in and work with kids twice a week. They either work with them on Monday or Wednesday, or Tuesday and Thursday during the school day for an hour. So it's a 2 hour a week commitment, and again, supervised by an educator who's writing those individualized lesson plans.
And they can find your email on the Forward Scholars website, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Great.
We are currently still linked to Common Ground, but we are building our own website.
Great. I think if you just Google Forward Scholars, you'll be able to find it. Carrie, thanks so much for joining us, and all the best in your work.
Thank you very much.
A quick Reconnect MKE update on Wisconsin's gerrymandered legislative maps. Late last week, 7 proposed new maps were submitted to the state Supreme Court as a follow-up to an earlier ruling by the court that current maps are illegal. The court also gets an official review of the maps in February from 2 expert consultants. Wisconsin's map madness continues, though. Just this week, a lawsuit was filed challenging congressional maps. Stay tuned. We also have a little news to share before we go. Starting next week, you'll be able to watch Connect MKE in primetime. Our program will also air on Sunday nights at 9 on CW18, so you'll have 3 chances to watch each show. Thanks so much for joining us. Be well, and we'll see you next week.